Hello everyone, X-Wall Kill Bethelite here, and I want to discuss something that is very important, and that is some of you who do activism, maybe videos. You may have heard negative things coming from people. For example, you're just angry, or you're obsessed with the religion, or someone would not want to hire you if they found out that you were involved with activism, be it making videos or what have you. So people say negative things about us making videos, informing people about the cult of Jehovah's Witnesses. Now, I find that interesting because on YouTube and on other social media, you have people making videos about a lot of things. You have people making videos about video games. There's channels on YouTube dedicated to people making videos about video games. Now, do you hear a lot of negative things about that? Oh, they're just obsessed with video games. Oh, if an employer sees that, they shouldn't hire that person. No, you don't seem to have people that concerned about the use of YouTube and social media for things that are of lesser importance. However, when you have people who are trying to make awareness of pedophilia, of murder with the blood doctrine, of the breaking up of families, when you have people trying to warn others about things that could harm them, for some reason people think that there's something wrong with that. I'm not concerned with people making videos doing pranks and pulling chairs from under people, throwing pies in people's faces. There's videos. There's people who have channels dedicated to pranks, doing silly things, doing things that are immature. Their whole channel's dedicated to that. Now, you don't have these people saying negative things about them. However, you have people that will say negative things about someone who is involved in activism, involved with trying to warn the community, trying to help others, trying to bring awareness, as if there's something wrong with someone doing good. Now, you may see people who are former Jehovah's Witnesses that are involved in activism and are trying to help people not make the same mistake that they did. Some of them may seem upset. Now, why should this be a concern? You have people who have lost relatives that are dead, that are maimed. I've spoken to someone that had their arm amputated because of Watchtower's no blood doctrine, the cult of Jehovah's Witnesses, that won't let people have blood transfusions. Well, I spoke to someone who lost an arm. I've known others that have lost relatives that are dead now. Why wouldn't they be upset? Why should we blame them for being upset? Why should their message be less important because they are upset about injustice. Well, when you have someone that is not a former Jehovah's Witness, that's not talking about Watchtower or the cult of Jehovah's Witnesses, when you have someone who has lost someone, be it through police brutality, and they get on social media or television and they protest the injustice that happened to them, and they try to warn people about police brutality because they lost a loved one, just like a former Jehovah's Witness lost loved ones. Well, when you see their rage, when they're talking about the police brutality because an officer may have shot someone and they feel it was unjust, no one blames them. No one says, well, you're just angry. We're not going to listen to you because you're just angry. Or you're obsessed with the police. Or if an employer sees you on social media warning others about an injustice, they're not going to hire you. You don't hear that. Well, why should someone who is a former member of the cult of Jehovah's Witnesses that does videos, if their motive is they lost a loved one, why shouldn't they be upset? Why should that take away from their message? And why should people say negative things about that particular person? Pedophilia. We have had video on social media after video on social media about R. Kelly. There was a television show called Surviving R. Kelly. This has been going on for years, actually. They have suspected him of wrongdoing, of injustice for years, and people have protested outside of his concerts and made videos on social media. A lot of them. Now, you don't hear people saying, well, you're just obsessed with R. Kelly. Well, if they were, they would be inside the concert listening to him, not trying to stop him. You don't have people that don't understand why the public and people would be concerned about someone doing inappropriate things with underage girls. There's no problem with that. We understand that these people are trying to make the world a better place. They're trying to warn others. Well, when a former member of the cult of Jehovah's Witnesses warns people about the pedophilia that has gone on inside that cult, when someone is upset about that, when someone may have been molested as a child inside that cult and no one listened to them because the religion has a 2-witness rule where no one in that religion is going to do anything if the child doesn't have 2 witnesses to the molestation. Well, again, why is it okay for other people to be concerned with pedophilia, talk about R. Kelly on social media and television? People understand where they're coming from. But when a former member of the cult of Jehovah's Witnesses warns others about the pedophilia, tells people that there was an Australian royal commission that was held because of the big problem of the pedophilia in Watchtower, why would people think, oh, well, you're just obsessed with Jehovah's Witnesses, or you're just angry, or employers won't hire you because you're concerned about the pedophilia in the cult of Jehovah's Witnesses? Well, a person should be upset about pedophilia. That should not be something that makes people happy. So when a person is advocating against the injustices of the cult of Jehovah's Witnesses, the things that go on, and you see them upset, well, pedophilia, losing family members to death, those things should not make a person happy when they speak of them. Those things aren't something that you should put a time limit on. Well, you guys should only, talking about people that make videos on social media about the cult of Jehovah's Witnesses. Well, you guys should only make so many videos and then you should stop. Or you guys should only do so much and then you should stop. Well, why would a person want people to stop advocating against pedophilia? Why would a person want someone to ever stop advocating against murder? Wouldn't you be more concerned about stopping pedophilia? Instead of trying to stop the advocate against it, why not focus on stopping the pedophilia that goes on inside the cult of Jehovah's Witnesses? Why not focus on stopping the religious murder or suicide of people inside the cult of Jehovah's Witnesses from being taught to refuse blood, being taught that God does not want that person to receive medical treatment that could save their life? Why wouldn't a person that sees an advocate against injustice be more concerned about the injustice than concerned about the advocate? You should want advocates. You should want people that want to improve the community. An employer that sees someone who is using their personal time to try to warn the public. They're using their personal time, not being paid for it. A lot of us, myself included, are not being paid for it. We're not doing videos to make money. Why would an employer see that and think, well, I wouldn't want to hire someone that does good in the community, that's trying to warn the community, that is against pedophilia and against murder? Why wouldn't an employer want someone in his company that will go above and beyond to try to make the environment better? You should want to hire someone like that. People also make videos and they do activism against the cult of Jehovah's Witnesses because that cult is well known for breaking up families because of the shunning. Now, why wouldn't we understand that when people have been on television, on the news, I believe on CNN, and they have been advocating against people that try to come into the country, that are coming over the border. They're trying to advocate against families being split up. They're advocating against children being removed from parents. This became an issue on national television. This became an issue that was printed in magazines. The separating of family was so important that people began to advocate for it. Well, why wouldn't a former member of the cult of Jehovah's Witnesses, once they find out that it is a cult, once they find out that it is wrong and they find out the things that go on within it, why wouldn't they also advocate against the splitting up of families? It was okay when it was done for the people trying to cross the border and their children were being separated from them. Families were being separated. There was a concern about deportation and children who were born essentially in the United States being separated from parents that may have crossed over illegally and may be sent back to their country of origin. Well, there's concern about the splitting up of family. We understand that. When we see that on television or if we see that on social media, we don't think, well, an employer should not want to hire that person because they're concerned about the splitting up of family. We don't say that that person is obsessed is the reason why they're making videos or doing activism or making the public aware of it. We don't say all these negative things. So why then would we be concerned that a former member of the cult of Jehovah's Witnesses would advocate against the splitting up of families, which happens in the cult of Jehovah's Witnesses, pedophilia, which happens in the cult of Jehovah's Witnesses? The members are taught to trust people in positions of authority unquestioningly, even with their children. Murder, suicide, people being taught not to take blood and dying as a result. Why wouldn't people who are aware of it, who would be former members, try to make the public aware and warn the public, just like all the people I've mentioned who do the same thing for the same reasons? So that's something to keep in mind when you see someone who does videos about the cult of Jehovah's Witnesses and you wonder why. Well, those are some of the reasons why. And if you think that there's something wrong with it or that it's wrong, well, you would have to apply that same principle to the people who advocate against violence, the people that advocate against pedophilia in other places when it was going on in the Catholic Church. You would have to feel that it's wrong for people to speak out against the pedophilia in the Catholic Church. So it's not wrong for a person to be an activist against injustice, to warn people about things that they don't know is dangerous. A lot of people don't know that the cult of Jehovah's Witnesses is dangerous, which is why it is very important that we have advocates and people that speak out against it. Because we know that pedophilia is wrong. We know that murder is wrong. We know that splitting up families is a concern. But people just aren't all aware that those things all happen combined within that cult, the cult of Jehovah's Witnesses. So isn't it important, even more so, for you to have advocates voicing dangers that people are not aware of. Even more important than the advocates that voice dangers that people already were aware of. So you need people to make videos and do activism with regards to the cult of Jehovah's Witnesses, because it's still, to a certain extent, unknown to the public. That is a danger to the public they're not even aware of. A lot of people are not aware still. So there's a lot of work left to do. So you see someone possibly get indignant or upset about something. We shouldn't overreact and not listen to the person's message. We live at a time where the President of the United States called people SOBs, used profanity on television because people were kneeling for the national anthem. So that's a pretty good job, right? Being president, considered a decent job. Now, he didn't lose his job because he spoke out against something that he felt was wrong. It's okay. So we shouldn't have double standards. People that speak out against the wrongs done by the cult of Jehovah's Witnesses should not be spoken of negatively if the people that speak out against injustices in other areas are not spoken of negatively. And the people that use social media to try to help people and save lives should not be spoken of negatively if the people that use social media to do pranks and do videos about video games aren't spoken of negatively. So comment down below. Let me know what you think. 937-789-4029. We'll discuss via text or maybe a chat. And this is ex-Wallkill Bethelite Marcus signing out.